Panini has finally responded to the news of their NFLPA licensing agreement being terminated and handed to Fanatics. This looks like it is getting messier by the day, and I think it exposes us as customers a lot more than what we think. And the things that I'm seeing, the vibe that I'm seeing, the theme that I'm seeing in this communication between the NFLPA and what Panini have clapped back with implies that there's a lot of dirty, maybe tactics going on in the background, which indicates things are going to get a lot worse than what they currently are, or what we think they might actually be in the near future. Now I'll quickly give you some background on this response from Panini, and then I want to talk through what the upcoming release of products look like, because there's some confusion about what is and what isn't actually possible and whether or not this product can go ahead. So just stay with me as we do talk through each of these things. Now, very quickly, as I said, Panini have responded, and they basically said that we believe this was a totally unwarranted and improper action by the NFLPA in conjunction with Fanatics, especially in light of the unprecedented sales by Panini of NFL trading cards. And then it goes on to say that Panini has grown the category of sports trading cards by over 1,000% since acquiring their licenses in 2009 to the benefit of all concerned. We believe the only party who benefits from this action by the NFLPA is Fanatics themselves, something that we did discuss yesterday, and not the players, the leagues, or the consumers. Again, things that we highlighted in yesterday's video. We note that in addition to the NFL Players Association license, Panini has licenses with the NFL and also over 360 individual players. And one of the things we discussed previously would be, what does this mean for Panini sets moving forward? But that last sentence there from Panini is an interesting one before I go to my thoughts on this statement from them in general. And that is an update from Darren Rovell, who has gone on to say that the union actually asserts that even though they have 360 players signed, because they no longer have the group licensing rights, they actually can't release a product with more than 5 players in there at a time, which essentially means that those 360 players that Panini has signed is worthless unless they go ahead and decide to make 60 different products with 5 players in each, as an example, or something along those lines, which doesn't really pose a good situation for us as consumers, right? Because it indicates that we might not actually have anything from Panini coming. I'll get to my thoughts on that a little bit later on, but back to the email itself from Panini. The theme here is quite poor. It looks like there is a bit of emotion in here, and it looks like there's a lot more to come from this, because the specific wording here around them saying the NFLPA in conjunction with Fanatics basically made this happen, and then also by implying that the only people to benefit from this is Fanatics and not the players, the league, or the end consumer, i.e. the collectors. And it tells me Panini's not done, and I would be shocked, as I alluded to in the very first video that we spoke on this, if they didn't incorporate this in some form within their antitrust lawsuit that is ongoing with Fanatics, basically saying they acted in bad faith to acquire those licenses in the first place, and also acted in bad faith at other elements within, them trying to disrupt the Panini operations over the last few months. But this is just pretty interesting, and the reason why I open with this maybe indicating that things are going to get messier before they get better is we're now going to have, Fanatics and Panini constantly clapping back at each other. And I don't think that's going to result in a good outcome for us as collectors, because it just looks like it's going to be an absolute mess, and we might be in a position where literally an injunction is put in place, as others have talked to in recent days. And if an injunction was to come into place, i.e. Panini was basically to go to the courts and say, this was unlawful, we don't think they should be allowed to have the license right now, and the judge would basically decide, okay, let's put an injunction in place because we need to work through this situation. And what does that mean? That means Fanatics and, Panini themselves can no longer produce NFL license cards until the end of that case, which could be multiple years, which is not a good thing for us as collectors, right? We want the ability to buy product, and it's just one of those things where it looks like there's a lot of emotion behind this, and I think it's going to get a heck of a lot messier before it does get better. And again, I want to reiterate, some people are jumping up and down with joy that Panini is basically getting, what's coming to them. I just want to remind you guys once again, Fanatics might not be the savior that we think they are. Now, I've praised them in the past about why I'm excited that they're coming in and all the things they can try and fix, but the way they've sort of interacted with this, recent event, and the way they've sort of interacted in the past with, like I explained the other day, removing or wanting to remove parallels, but they've made more parallels. They've made negative parallels, wanting to remove redemptions. They've gone ahead and added more redemptions, wanting to release baseball product when they acquired Topps, and they've not put key rookies in certain products and didn't communicate that to anyone. They've had missing autos, they've had backdoor cards, all these kind of thing. It's been a bit of a mess since Fanatics has basically acquired Topps, to be perfectly honest. And It's just one of those things. You need to be careful what you wish for, right? You know, the enemy of my enemy is not always your friend, right? And I think people are taking that mindset in this instance where because they hate Panini, they're going to be okay with Fanatics. And the point I'm trying to make is I don't know if Fanatics is actually going to be doing a better job when Panini come on board. And the reasons for that are the things that I just discussed, are the things that I said yesterday. I think this is looking very messy. And one of the other things that I don't think I discussed yesterday is what they've done to the apparel industry, right? People consistently complain. Go look at the reviews and all that sort of stuff for the product of the jerseys and the materials and the shirts and the hats, etc. Since Fanatics basically won those licenses, people are complaining that they put their jersey in the wash, it gets washed once, and then it basically falls apart afterwards. It's just a bit of a mess. And like people can say, okay, well, they've done a really good job with getting, you know, stores like lids and all that sort of stuff basically everywhere, so people have, you know, really good access to this sort of stuff, right? They've improved the accessibility, but the quality has taken a huge impact as a result of that. And I think that's why people are concerned about the card hobby moving forward, that Fanatics is going to be so profit focused. We've heard recently that they're trying to go for an IPO, and typically what that means is they want to inflate, you know, the worth of that business, which then basically gets bought and then things get culled, and it's basically done at the expense of their quality control. And people are saying, well, if that's going to happen and that's their ambition, are we going to see things like trading cards and sports cards and all that sort of stuff overprinted to death, worse than what we're currently seeing from Panini? And in my opinion, that is entirely possible. And apologies for that mini rant, but that's where my mind is going. Don't be cheering for this until we actually know what the heck is going on, because just the way they're acting towards Panini, the way Panini's responding back, this is going to get far worse before it does in fact get better. Now, just very quickly, I want to jump back to a post from Darren Rovell, because he seems to think that you're going to have a position where Panini can't actually release things like Luminance that is meant to release in the next 12 to 24 hours, or it should actually be released by the time you see this video. And he basically says this: despite insistence from the NFLPA that Panini has lost its player union license to produce and sell cards with players' names and images effective immediately, Panini's basically still going ahead to release this product. And one thing I want to mention on this is what people have come forward in the last 24 hours that have some inside information have basically said what I've got here in this message to Darren himself, because they basically said, per their understanding, the releases already approved as part of the NFLPA agreement are not impacted by the loss of license, i.e. the product that was designed, approved, printed, packaged, etc. months ago, i.e. something like Luminance, can't be, you know, factored into that because the NFLPA have already signed off on it. So this will likely still be fine to release. However, if that's not the case, Panini's probably breaking the law by releasing this product. And if that is the case, this product won't get released, which means we're not going to have other things like NT, which I don't think is released yet, and Flawless amongst a few others as well, which is a really bad thing because it means we won't see those products. And again, it's just an interesting one to be wary of, you know, in the next few months, because I think if that was the case and Panini couldn't get those released and it was something that was unlawful, they'd expect to see an injunction, in my opinion. I just think this is an absolute mess. It's a freaking shit show. And I think it's going to get worse. And I think we as collectors should be very concerned around, you know, this back and forth between them, because it's going to get freaking messy. And Fanatics is not going to stop at just the NFLPA license. They're going to push to get the NBA ones and anything else that Panini has their hands on. And it's just messy. It's just boardroom tactics. It's this corporate level BS that's going to impact us as consumers more than anyone else. And I almost don't like that positioning from Fanatics. Now, they're a business. They're there to improve their bottom line. They're there and much smarter than me and all that sort of stuff. And they know what they're doing. But I think they just need to be very careful not to piss us off as collectors. And they need to be very careful it doesn't impact things like redemptions, as we discussed yesterday, amongst many other things. Because if this product can't get released, right, you're talking about people's livelihoods as well, i.e. breakers not being able to sell product because there's no product to be sold, right? It's not just you having a dig at Fanatics and you having a dig at Panini, i.e. those two businesses going back and forth with each other. The consumers, the collectors, the people that rely on this hobby for their bottom line are going to be impacted as well. And they need to be thinking about that, because at the end of the day, we're the ones that keep those businesses relevant and afloat. And the second they undermine us and take advantage of us, people are going to be walking away or just, you know, giving up completely. So again, I'm rambling, but please share your thoughts down in the comments below. I just think this is pretty interesting. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.